Welcome to Plot Twist Radio, the show where creativity, storytelling, and the unpredictable path of the creative life all collide. I'm your host, Erin Egnatz. There's a moment, quiet, almost invisible, when life forces you to pause. Not because you planned it, but because something shifts. A loss, a realization, a question you can't unask. What if time isn't as endless as we pretend it is? Today's guest didn't just ask that question, he built an entire philosophy around it. From the football field to the classroom to a deeply personal journey shaped by loss and reflection, Michael Drake turned letters to his daughter into something bigger, a message about urgency, perspective, and what it really means to live. This is a conversation about mortality, but more importantly, about what we do with the time we have. Hi, Michael. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Erin. Nice to be here.
Great to have you. So, can you tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
My name is Michael Drake. Born and raised in Canada. I recently wrote a book called The Paradox of a Mortal Mind. I have a copy of it right here. It's a book about just developing a mortal mind, is what I call it, where we kind of recognize our own mortality, which gives us a sense of urgency because it kind of creates scarcity with, your time, and you want to make sure that you're utilizing it to the best of your abilities. It's about living. It's about kind of recognizing the finite nature of our lives and really embracing the fact that why not do it today? Why not, go for the goals that you have and go for all those things that you want to have in your life. So that's kind of what the book's about.
Love that because I don't think enough of us think like that. I think a lot of us just think about the future and the what ifs, but we don't live in the moment and enjoy it. So I like that you have this story. I think that it is an important story to have.
And I also feel like we get distracted very, very easily with everything that's around us and the hyper speed of life and the internet and social media and all of a sudden, 3 months pass and you don't even realize it. And, it's a chance for us to kind of slow down and just look at life from that perspective. And I think it's really helped me, and I'm hoping it helps my readers as well.
Absolutely. So what inspired you to take this path, to write this?
You know what? I never knew that I'd be an author, honestly. I grew up as an athlete and a social person. I just kind of lived my life that way. And then, there was a series of events in my life and personal passings of people that were really close to me. And, it just kind of led me to start thinking more and more about it. I'm in my mid 40s now, and a good friend of mine passed away a couple of years ago, and he was only 42, and he had a daughter that's the same age as my daughter, and it really hit me hard. It was one of those funerals that you don't really forget, and I had a lot of emotion around it, and it really started making me think about my own legacy with my daughter, and then my therapy was through writing, and I started writing letters to her. Just, nothing that I was going to give her right now. It was letters that I intended on leaving for her one day with maybe just snippets of my advice and, different things. But those letters morphed into more and more. And it just led me into writing the book ultimately. And so the chapters in the book are really letters that I wrote to my daughter, and I just morphed it into a different style that could be absorbed by the masses. So that's kind of what led me to it, and helped me through the writing process. And it took me about 10 to 12 months to get it done after I was getting in a good groove. And yeah, that's kind of the story behind it. And ever since, I've been kind of living that, and I've been doing some coaching and some speaking engagements as well that kind of resonate with the message as well. So I have a few things online that kind of go through that as well. So that's kind of how I started, where I'm at now, and now speaking with people like yourself and in front of audiences, the message is really resonating. So I'm going to keep it up.
Very cool. I love that. So, as you said, you were very involved in sports growing up. You even played football in college, which is my favorite sport. I miss football season already. It needs to come
Yeah.
back. So, what does sports teach you about discipline and resilience that carried into the rest of your life?
And like learning the fact that losing is not necessarily a bad thing. I've played sports my whole life, and I've also coached for close to 20 years after my playing careers have been over. And, I've had seasons where we're undefeated and the team has this false sense of, they inflate how good they are, and all of a sudden they face a team in the playoffs and they weren't ready for it because they weren't preparing for it, right? So, and I've also had seasons where we're terrible. It goes to show what lessons those can have. But I also love the lessons of being a good teammate, and doing what's best for the team and doing your individual part. Like a good team is a bunch of individual parts, and you recognize your role within that system, and you do that to the best of your ability. So you can obviously apply that to your life as well, especially if you're part of a team at work or your family life also, right? Like you're a part of a team there as well. All of those lessons I've definitely carried forward in my life, and I really view those as lessons that you can use for a variety of different things in your life. And my daughter's also into sport, and I'm really encouraging her to be a part of that because of the team aspect, and the lessons about, you got to endure failures and you have to endure hardships, and sometimes you're going to be faced with a better opponent. What do you do about that? And there's certain skills that you need to develop, and the meaning of practice, and getting and making those things perfect, and so all of those things can lead to success and happiness and good friendships and all of the above. So I love sport. I still do. I'm a big fan of all kinds of different sports, but yeah, I could go on and on about that.
Yeah, I could too. So you spent nearly 2 decades in education, correct?
Yeah.
So what originally drew you to teaching? Because I'm also in education. I've noticed that many of the guests I have start in education.
Yeah. You know what? I found it to be a natural thing for me. Like as I grew older, and like you mentioned, I did play collegiate football, and as I got to my senior years, I became a team captain, and just that role of leadership. Um, I found to be really comforting, and I thought I was getting quite good at it, and then when it came to deciding what I wanted to do for a career, kind of teaching was a natural progression for me, or teaching, like, it was, there, and now I'm in phys ed. Like, I teach kids how to be fit and throw football and, all that good stuff, and I'm like, "You're paying me to teach kids how to do this?" Like, this is pretty sweet. So, it wasn't just a natural progression, really, like, and as I get older and, I kinda develop my own style, and, I find what resonates with students and what doesn't, and again, you learn from failures as you teach, and sometimes my lessons suck, and sometimes they're fantastic, and you learn from those as well. And as I've gotten older, I find that just motivating students about life and understanding. I bring my book into the classroom, and it talks about just guys. I know you're only 16. You don't see it like I see it, but I promise you, you're going to see it one day like this. And why wait? Why not go for things? Why not start thinking about life? And why not, take a risk and do those types of things? So it's really been a blessing in my life. And my family is teachers as well. My sisters are teachers. My wife's a teacher. And it's kind of naturally progressed that way. So it's been a good career. Almost 20 years. I'm getting up there now.
Impressive, impressive. It's
Yeah.
hard to stay in education, at least in here where we live in America, because teachers are so underfunded. But it's such a rewarding career that it's hard for someone like myself to leave, because I love the interaction with the students and I love teaching life experiences. It's hard to do that with history a lot of times, but I try and blend in the two. You pointed out that you bring your book into it. I think that that connects the students to you that they're gonna remember.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it comes in many forms too. Like, teaching doesn't need to just be in a classroom, I've noticed that. Teaching can come in many, many forms. In many ways, I think the education system is becoming outdated. It's with the speed of technology and AI, and the jobs that we're teaching kids how to do, will they even exist in 10 to 20 years? Like, and so, my teaching is kind of morphed, and I've had the benefit of kind of looking at it from a variety of perspectives. This book that I've written is just another way to teach, really, ultimately, at the end of the day. Yeah, it's been a very rewarding process.
For sure. So
Yeah.
I was taking a look at your website, and 2020 was a turning point for many people. For you, it sparked a period of reflection and questioning. What are some of the biggest realizations you had during that?
We're all gonna die. It's, I was very careful to not. turn this into a morbid topic, right? Like, I'm not sitting here asking people to just think about that. It's more about, using that as motivation and fuel. And, the older I get, the more sore my knees are from all my old injuries and, that kind of stuff. You appreciate the process that life takes, right? And every phase that you go through. And, just having the mindset of gratitude and abundance and, you know, being thankful for everything that, God has given us. And it's been really, it just took me out of autopilot. It took me out of that, okay, get up, do the thing, do the same thing I did yesterday, and really made me just step back and think about life from a broader perspective. And I thought about what people like how I make people feel. And it's really my life has gotten a lot better since I've stepped back and looked at it from a broader point of view and from the viewpoint of abundance and just having gratitude for everything that I have in my life. It's really made my life more fulfilling. And I think it's made my life with my people around me. I think I've made a better impact on them. And I'm going to continue to do it because it makes me feel good. I think I'm leaving a better legacy. It's about how Maya Angelou, you know Maya Angelou. It's about how you make people feel at the end of the day. And so, I'm gonna continue going down this road because it's really natural for me, and I'm getting a lot of intrinsic rewards from it as well. So, that period in my life, it was just, I was turning 40, just I realized, I got a lot more to give than what I'm giving, and, it's about time I do that. So, yeah, I'm happy with where I am and where I'm going too, right? Like, I just got back from a 7-week vacation with my family. We took time off work and we went to Australia and New Zealand and I just pushed the pause button on everything and just spent time with each other. And it was amazing. It was so good.
Oh, that sounds amazing. I would love to do that. I wish my husband liked to travel, but
Hey, there's nothing stopping you.
that's right. I'm hopping a plane to Miami tomorrow. So
There you go. Good.
I love that you pointed out that you were turning 40 and that kind of like made you pause and think, I'm turning 40 this year and I'm not really handling it all. So it's good to see how you embraced it and looked at the positive and you seem very happy. So I need to do that.
Well, listen, I've learned a long time ago, like, don't stress over things you can't control. You can't control the fact you turned 40. Just embrace it. And, there's a lot of good things that come from turn 40. There's so many good things, right? And so, for you to turn 40, it's a blessing. It's like you're gonna love like the 40 is the new 20. Just keep yourself in good shape and have the energy you need to have, and you'll be fantastic. You'll be great at 40. Don't worry about it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So let's pivot over to your writing journey. You touched on it a little bit with the letters, which is a brilliant way to start a story or a book. At what point did you realize, and you, like I said, you touched on this before, did you realize those letters had turned into something bigger that could become a book?
They had a common theme to them. As I was writing them, I realized that there were so many connecting thoughts. Like they all kind of came from the same place, and they effectively turned into the chapters that you see within the book. And so, like my chapters, I'll give you a few titles of the chapters where the first one is talking about facing the fear, and I was talking to my daughter about when something scares you, maybe that's when you lean into it a little bit more. And so I realized I'm like so many people fear death. And that's where the title comes from too. It's called The Paradox of a Mortal Mind. It's like when you fear roller coasters, if you just avoid roller coasters, you're never going to get over the fear of roller coasters. Just get on the roller coaster and you're going to realize you're okay. You're good. Right.
Right.
And so the fear kind of subsides. And so when you lean into your mortality, well, you know what? I can't avoid it anyway. So I may as well use it as fuel. And so that's kind of where that came from. The second chapter is called Humble Yourself, right? So it talks about how small you are ultimately, right? And you're one of 9 billion people. You look up into the sky full of billions of stars and you realize our planet is just a tiny little grain of sand compared to the size of the universe. And, our problems that we thought were problems are not really that big of a deal. And so treat them that way, right? Another chapter is called The Power of Perspective. And I talk about a variety of different perspectives that you could have about problems. be like water. Like, when you've heard of the Bruce Lee, be like water, be more adaptable. And so when you're facing problems, a lot of people just keep on smashing against the problem over and over again, not changing their methods. And I'm like, well, just be more adaptable, try a new way, you know? And so that was a letter I wrote her. And so, and they all kind of morphed into that and they all had a common theme. And so then I just said, you know what? I'm gonna write about this a bit deeper. I just and they were all jumbled up. The book was all over the place. Like, the chapters didn't make any like, they didn't flow into the next chapter and everything, right? So, it took me a while to kind of figure out how to connect all the dots, but, it was a really rewarding experience, to be honest. It was, I got up every morning at 5, like, because I was teaching, right? So, in order for me to fit this in, it was like, I'm writing from 5 to 7 a.m. every day, and so I did that every day, and, 12 months later, it was done, and I'm proud of it. I'm pretty happy that I was able to do it.
Sounds like a very rewarding experience. I wish I want to kind of explore that as an author. I write fiction, but it sounds so therapeutic the way you do it that I need to try something like that, but probably won't.
Well, we all have our own methods, right? Like, I didn't have a playbook. I just did it with my heart, and, the discipline piece is obviously, you're a writer, like, if you don't dedicate the time and to be disciplined with that, and you're never gonna really get it done, right? And it won't be the quality that you want it to be. And so that part of it was a big piece, but as the writing happened, it was just, "You know what? I really think I need to talk about this or that." And even after the book was done, I'm like, "Man, I should have included more about that or that," but it's never gonna be done, right? You know that.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, what do you hope readers walk away thinking after they read it? Do you like hope that they see hope? Do you see it as like a philosophy?
It's an invitation to slow down and evaluate your perspective on life. I do my best when I give myself space to think. When I'm on autopilot, like I mentioned earlier, I don't give myself space to actually reflect and think about where I'm at, where I'm going. And when I give myself that space, I'm a much more productive person. I'm a more thoughtful person. I'm a more healthy person. And I'm like, well, then that should be part of my life, right? And so the book gives you it. There's nothing in the book that will surprise you. It is, yeah, I kinda get that, and, oh, yeah, I haven't thought about that for a while, but yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and so it gives you that sense of urgency to say yes now. Like, me taking the time off work scared the shit out of me. Like, truthfully, like, financially, it's a hit, you know, will my career be sidetracked? But and then I think, when I'm 60, looking back at me now, do you think that 60-year-old will say you shouldn't have done it? No, not a chance. He's gonna say, "That was the best trip you took. That was the best decision you made." And so I kept on reminding myself of that, and so that what I hope readers get out of it is, say yes to things, say no to other things, cut out the shit that's not serving you, like, and every decision I make today, it's a vote for my future self.
That makes sense.
So
I like that. That's a great message. So, where can the listeners find you?
I'm on Amazon. If you just look up The Paradox of a Mortal Mind, it's available on Amazon worldwide. It's also available on Audible. And I have socials under the Mortal Mind handle. So, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, it's under the Mortal Mind. And you'll see a whole bunch of my motivational talks there where I spoke to a whole variety of students and different audiences about a lot of the stuff in my book, and so I encourage people to go and check those out as well, and follow me if you think it resonates. We put up, like, 1 to 2 minute, you know, parts of my talks, and I talk to people about all kinds of things that I just talked to you about perspective and different things like that. So I'm enjoying it. I'm gonna start doing it more and more, and taking on people, as a coach as well, like a perspective and a mindset coach. And I'm hoping that it continues to grow, and it's available all over the place. Hopefully, you can find it.
Absolutely. I'll make sure that the links are in the show notes for everyone.
I appreciate that.
Michael, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
There's something powerful about being reminded that time isn't guaranteed. Not in a way that scares you, but in a way that wakes you up. In this episode, Michael challenged us to step out of autopilot, to stop waiting, and to start choosing intentionally how we live. Because every decision we make today is a vote for the life we'll look back on tomorrow. If this conversation resonated with you, you can find Michael's book, The Paradox of a Mortal Mind, on Amazon and Audible, and connect with him on social media under The Mortal Mind. And as always, all links are waiting for you in the show notes. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to follow, rate, and share Plot Twist Radio. And remember, sometimes the smallest shift in perspective can change everything. Until next time, stay curious and embrace the plot twist you never saw coming.